Well, welcome everyone to Talks on Tuesday. I'm Chelsea, and we're here with my co-hosts Mary and Barbara and Julie, and we talk about all things metaphysical, spiritual, woo-woo, whatever. And our topic today is communication, and we wanted to just think of communication in a spiritual sense and how we communicate um, our efforts. Hi, Gino. We're talking about communication today and um how well on one side there's what we're trying to communicate, and then um are we ever really heard? Is the message we're trying to communicate to someone ever really heard on the other side? Because everything that we hear or feel with our senses, we kind of interpret through our own filters. And um and in a large way, communication is of the heart and of the gut. And there's silent communication, there's verbal communication, there's just communication of the heart. And we can go all different directions with this today, but what do you guys think? Barbara
Yeah,
says Barbara brought up the chat the word body language. Yes,
that's what
yes.
I was going to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll start with communication because I learned a very important lesson around it. This was many years ago, and I was in nursing school, and excuse me, we were doing we did a rotation at the VA, the Veterans Hospital, and each nurse 1 week would have a chance to be charge nurse. And so when it was my week to be charge nurse, what I had to do is go talk with the other nursing students and find out like how you doing, everyone had their own assignments and are you keeping up and that kind of thing. And there was one nurse there who would say, "Oh, I'm doing fine, and everything's great and yeah, everything's fine." And so I believed her. I said, well, she told me she was doing fine, so, I figured she meant that. And then it turns out at the end of the day, she hadn't been doing fine, and she was behind in a number of areas, and her patients didn't get some of the things that they needed. And so unfortunately, she had to repeat that week. And then our nursing supervisor was talking with me about, well, why didn't you follow up and check on her and that kind of thing? And I was like, well, she told me she was doing fine, so I just believed what she said. And but I felt really badly about it. And then my takeaway was, don't always believe what somebody says to you. Like be a little bit open to going a little deeper and maybe ask a few questions or open your heart and find out, really what is actually happening. But my feeling at the time was like, well, she said this, so that must have been what she meant. And I got a good lesson with that was like, well, people don't always totally mean what they say, or maybe they mean it differently than what I anticipate, and things like that. So that was a good thing for me.
Yeah. Go ahead, Julie.
I was just going to say, when I think about communicating with people, I think body language is a really good example also. But also, just when you get a sense of someone or a feeling about someone, or a knowingness, something like that, is a way of communicating, allowing you to communicate in a certain way, as a reaction to what you're feeling. Like if you with somebody and you can tell they're not how they say they are, something's bothering them or whatever. And I think that also brings in having to listen to people, really hear them, and hear what they're saying on a different, instead of not in your ears so much, but in your body. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah. It, it's a when you ask somebody, just how are you, and they come back and say everything's, good, everything's okay, but then as the conversation goes on and you really notice everything's not okay, it's as if the first answer was they were wishing everything was okay and trying to hold it up. And yeah, but um we try to portray something, and sometimes if we slightly believe it's true, maybe it will be. Go ahead, Gino.
Yeah, you kind of took some of what I was going to say, Chelsea, but I just had an example. At a grocery store I go to all the time, this young woman, uh, I was checking, she was the cashier, and I said, "So how are you today?" She says, "I'm fine," like that, right? Right away, there's something not there,
Yeah.
right? So and we're continuing our interaction, and I said, "You know what?" I said, "You look kind of tired. Are you tired today?" She says, "Yeah." And then she t started to tell me what was wrong with her, right? And so, I gave her a little bit of cheer up coaching, and now every time I go into the store, she lights up, especially if she's going to be my cashier. And so
Mm, mm.
I played a joke with her the other day, and she said, "So, what are you going to do with your day today?" I said, "Well, I just had surgery a few days ago, and so I'm just going to lie low." And that was true. And she says, "Oh, I'm so sorry." I said, "Yeah." I said, "I had brain transplant." And she says, "Oh," she's laughing and everything. I says, people laugh, but I just wanted to be better in math. What's wrong with that? Come on." You know? So, I'm getting more and more famous every time I see her, right?
That's
So
funny.
yeah, reading people, energy, yes, body language. And body language is a big one. I studied NLP, so I'm pretty good with that. I mean, if a person is like, well, like that or whatever, that they're shut down, or they're nervous.
Yeah,
And
so
there are
true.
sometimes ways to break through that, but other times you get a sense of, maybe I better leave this alone, depends on what's happening. But yeah, I just feel vibrations. And I'm pretty good at that. Yeah, that's it.
Go ahead, Cecilia.
Hi, thank you. Um, I was, I just wanted to share that sometimes when, somebody starts a conversation or just has a greeting, it's like, how are you doing today? Basically, it's like, how much time do you have? Do you really want to know? Is the what's going on in the person? It's like, fine. That says, okay, fine. You can go now. There I am. But if you really want to know, ask me deeper questions. Ask me, you know, how's your workload? What are you thinking? What are you going through? Kind of thing. It's like, is everything when we I like to, say, what's good? What good's happened today? What's good happen? What's something good? Tell me about something good that happened to you today, basically. You know, and I kind of like want to move into that direction. I just remembered this communication topic. It's just, it brought me to a book that I have. It's called "Eats, Shoots, and Leaves" is the title, and it's a grammar book. And so even our written language is so misinterpreted so many times. Eats, shoots, and leaves. That could be, some robber came in and he ate at the diner and he shot up the place and he left. Or it could be a koala bear.
Shoots.
He eats, shoots, and leaves. And so the grammar in it is going to tell you everything. And so you don't know. It's a grammar book, is what this book is. Eats, shoots, and leaves. And so it's like, what are you really wanting to say? Say it. in a more clear, concise way. Also, I wanted to just point out when people often say, "You're not listening to me, you're not understanding," it's not their responsibility to do that. If you're hearing that they're not getting what you're saying, say it in a different way, use different words, try an analogy of something. They're not getting it because of what you're giving them. So find a new way to express what you want to convey, and maybe they will understand. But whatever they get from it, it's not your responsibility unless you really need them to, follow these directions. You need to go here, to go here, to go here, whatever. Mime it if you have to. But if you see that they're not getting it and they really need to know for their safety or for the process that you have to have them go through, find new ways to express it. But it's your responsibility as the person conveying the message, not their responsibility who's listening, because they're only hearing from their perspective. You need to help them and find new ways to communicate what you want to share with them. And what they do with that information is completely up to them. You have to let it go. Okay, that's it.
Go ahead, Mary.
Yeah, this is also interesting because we rely so much on words, and in school, in English, we're always taught how to use words, how to interpret words, da, 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 da. But words are so little of the communication package. And what's also interesting is how much we are being told all the time, non-verbally, even by the events of our lives. I bring this up because I'm staying with my brother, and my sister is staying upstairs in the guest room. And for me, he's got this little guest house out back. So the other night, I was going to go to bed. So I walked out the back, and he said, "You want me to walk with you?" And I said, "No, I'm fine." And I, within seconds, fell down some stairs and into the dark, and, hit my head, all this stuff. And I'm fine, but I had to look at it later and think, what was that telling me? And it was telling me, when you walk out into the dark, pay attention. And it's important right now because I'm about to change my life. I'm moving from a very safe, quiet life into this unknown European adventure, learning to speak French so I can get around France. I'm going into the unknown, but I haven't been too worried about it. I haven't been, not that I want to worry, but I haven't been preparing myself except in language. I'm learning French again. But there's so many other things I'll need to be aware of, even in terms of, why is my life taking this turn at this age? What's it telling me? So it's like this big mystery that's opened up in front of me. What is this urge? Where am I going? What am I doing? And what do I need to pay attention to so I don't fall downstairs? That's what I have to say.
Yeah, go ahead, Barbara.
Well, thanks, Mary, for sharing that, because hearing you makes me think, and it kind of brings me back to what I think this conversation is really all about, and that's just staying open, being open, opening your awareness and, all that good stuff that we talk about, from a spiritual perspective. Because, yeah, I mean, body language and words are so limiting, and what Gina was saying, just about like the energetics and the vibration and stuff. I mean, we all know that actions speak louder than words. I mean, there's just so many ways of looking at communication. I'll read what Renee wrote in the chat. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. Dr. Seuss. And I think the last part of it, those who matter don't mind. So, but again, it's just being open and living with awareness, I guess, is really kind of,
Yeah.
what and that was a big takeaway for me, again, when going back to that situation when I was in nursing school. It's like, wow, how could I have been so blind to, and it's like, okay, just learn to, just be more aware. And I know that's easier said than done, but it's a good thing to think about. Yeah, go ahead, Mare.
Yeah, I think there's so much of what we receive that's coded. Like when you say, "How are you? How are you doing?" and they say, "I'm fine," in a way that for some people they are fine. For others, it's saying, "I don't want to talk about it. Go away." So I'll tell you fine. Um, and then in another, that's the standard answer because a lot of times we really don't want to know how they are. It's just a greeting, like it's a code. Instead of saying hello, I say, "How are you?" And I don't really want to know the minutiae of their lives. And the other thing is asking ourselves, what else could this mean? Um, and don't have time to do that all the time, but occasionally you have to think, what's behind this? What else is there?
Yeah. Your story, Mary, about falling and then thinking, okay, what communication is going on between that the universe is trying to get through to me?
Mm-hmm.
It, a lot of where I've been reading a few books that have kind of been changing my attitude on, maybe um, stuff like psychic ability or more kind of paranormal stuff. I really haven't put much of my value in learning about because I feel like um, sometimes uh, that was a seeking in a lot of ways, especially like psychic messages or stuff like that. But I've been opening up to thinking more of those kind of things in different ways. And I wod say I'm somebody, with zero type psychic powers. Um, but I've been listening more to what the universe is telling me with my daily interactions. And um, for example, just an example, me and Gordy were at Olive Garden, I don't know, about a month ago, just me and him having dinner. And, most of my attention's on Gordy and just enjoying our time away from the house. But in my visual sight, there was a booth that had a family with what seemed like a mother, a father, and two children. And I kind of just watched them out of the corner of my eye. And it kind of seemed like the dad needed to go back to work and he was hugging everyone goodbye. I was kind of making up the story in my mind, hugging the kids and hugging the mom goodbye. And then they went out the front door towards the Olive Garden that way. But where we were seated, I could see them come along the side of the building, just her and the two kids. And then out of my other corner of the eye, I could see her and the two kids standing by their vehicle for a long time, little kids. She was searching through her purse. And I could tell that maybe she had lost her keys or something. And then I saw her and the two kids walk all the way back in, and I really didn't even give it any more thought. But they came back in and went back to the booth, and right there on the edge of the booth where I could see in my plain sight, right next to where they were sitting, was her keys. And I felt like that was a message that I could have, like, I felt like, wait a minute, if I had listened more clearly, I probably could have noticed her keys, put it all together, and ran out and met her halfway and gave her her keys. I didn't feel bad about it, but I felt like it's like, not that I would be reading her mind of what she needed out the window, but just be more in touch with what the whole picture of it all. Because her keys really were right in my sight on the patterned carpet. And I just felt like that was just the universe saying to me, pay a little bit more attention and it might expand your think, you're just your what you can be, what you can see or be part of energetically what's going on around you. And um I'm interested also with what you have to say, Gino. Go ahead.
It doesn't apply to what you're saying, but I was just thinking Dr. Eric is famous for a particular line that he uses depending on the situation. Now, if you say, "How are you?" and they say fine, and you know they're not fine, you could say what Dr. Eric would say probably, and it would be, "If you could tell me how you are, how are you?" I love when he does that.
Yeah, yeah.
Just a short aside. Okay.
Yeah.
But please comment on Chelsea's comment.
No, no, no. We can go wherever with this, but
I'm just going to add to Gino's. For those of you on YouTube who don't know who Dr. Eric is, that's Dr. Eric Pearl of the Reconnection, and somebody you ought to know about.
Yes, indeed.
Well, I'll follow up with what you were saying, Charles, because I think that you're right. There's always opportunities to expand our vision or our knowing or our, awareness or whatever you want. And so it's nice that while you weren't feeling guilty about not picking up her keys and taking them out there, you were using that as just a little message to you that as an opportunity, to.
yeah.
So
I love,
that's great.
Barbara, how you can take what I say and just like put it in a summary. I think I'm just going to travel with you. But
Well, that's
I
nice, but
didn't
I'm
feel
not
guilt.
always
I
so
didn't. I
fast on
didn't
my
feel
feet.
like I failed at all in the situation. I just felt like, oh, I see. There's little ways where you can just like, if you can open up to what the communication of the whole consciousness is going on, and yeah.
It was like a little lesson in a way, a
Hmm.
life lesson of awareness, of attention, or
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we're just all little blood cells in the same vein
Mm.
of somebody's body. We're just
The
there's
mystical
this,
body.
yeah. Gordy had said,
Apparently, oh, go ahead.
go ahead, Julie.
No, this doesn't really have anything to do with what we're talking about, except for as far as our bodies. Apparently, we are born with our angel that is actually inside of us, or something like that, that is always there with us. Yeah. So, me and my angel.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm your guardian angel.
This is Celia.
No, this is all beautiful, and I just think, tying it all up with Chelsea and Mary and what the messages are and stuff. It's just you are given an opportunity, and now that you see the pieces and how they could fit together, maybe next time you'll choose differently and act on. It's like, she's struggling. What could she be missing? And looking over where she was, maybe putting that together, and then jumping in if you feel like it, if it's appropriate, because take the gift that is being given you and you put it all together right now. So next time there's an opportunity, you might choose differently. I'm just saying that because we're given opportunities for whatever reasons. I was going to meet some friends. We'd planned on seeing each other over the hill. I live in LA and they live in the valley. And so I chose, over the Coldwater Canyon area. So if you don't know LA, this is just over this mountain. However, at the time of day I was meeting them, the traffic can be a little thick. And so I used my GPS and asked to take me there. And all of a sudden it's taking me a route that I've never gone. I mean, that I haven't gone in years. And so I'm on Mulholland Drive at Mulholland Canyon. And I'm like going, wow, I haven't been here in years. And then it takes me down a street I've never heard of. It's like, oh my gosh, I've never been here. And I'm looking and the sun is still up, but it's like, oh, this is beautiful. Wow, I'm just really enjoying the adventure and the excursion, the diversion that they took me through. I was like going, wow, that was beautiful. And then another opportunity came up yesterday and I had to go see somebody in Pasadena from West LA. It's like going, oh my gosh, and I had to be there in the morning. It's like there's traffic in the morning, so it's taking me over the hills. And I was like going, wow, get another trip over the hills this direction. It was like, oh, wow, I love being on top of the world. I'm like going, this is really interesting how this played out. Like I got to go on these little excursions, seeing places I hadn't been in a while at times where I wouldn't choose normally to be traveling. It's like, wow, this was really fun. I like these excursions. And so, it's a little adventure. So take it. Let the universe, give you a gift if you're up for it. So
This is so
Yes.
smart because it seems like life does have a GPS. We just don't know what the interface is, so we can, turn it on and listen to the directions. And maybe we did develop that sense of GPS with the universe.
Go
I
ahead,
have a
Julie.
story. Well, it's interesting that you gave us that story, Cecilia, about your GPS, because recently, the other day, I had an appointment in an area called Cottonwood, which is on the way to Sedona. And it's like an hour and 10 minutes, something like that. But the way that if you go through your GPS, it takes you up this winding road through this little town called Jerome, which is a very cool little town. But for me, I don't like to drive that way. I don't, I never have. And my husband always would drive, but even then I didn't like the drive. So I said to my husband, help me get the route where I'm going to be going straight and I'm not going to. So he goes, okay, I got it. Here it is, blah, blah, blah. And I said, you sure I'm not going to be going up in the mountains? No, 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 no. So I'm driving along. Partway there, I call him. I say, "You sure this is right? Because it keeps telling me to go, to here." Yeah, yeah, it's right. At the beginning of the road that goes up to Jerome, where I did not want to go, that's where I was. And I went, oh my God, I'm going up the windy road. The whole time I'm talking to myself, with having a conversation. You can do this. It's not so bad. The traffic was really light. Okay, wow, look at the mountains. Oh, this is beautiful. Oh boy, I don't like going here. No, no, it's okay. You're good. The whole time. And it was like forever. So it's just another way. I mean, you were like, oh, this is wonderful. I was dealing with it in a different way. It was something I did not want to do. And then I just kept self-talking. You're going to get there. It's going to be fine. Look at, you're going through Jerome. This is such a cute little town and everything. But that's where the universe decided to take me. So I took it, Anyway, Barb.
Go ahead, Barbara.
And it's that self-talk, just like what we're talking about, the communication. I mean, I was listening to Cecilia and thinking how she takes these opportunities and like not necessarily that it was a lemon that she had to go, but she always knows how to make the lemonade. And it sounds like you kind of
Yeah.
did the same thing, Julie, and even if it took that self-talk, it's that self-communication that we deal with and that we have the opportunity to use to bring something uh to make it a little bit more positive. I think that's kind of
Yeah.
how I like to approach the world too. I think that's really cool. So yeah, nice.
I had to, and because I know that in the past I would have been bitching the whole way over. I could have been mad at my husband. I'm bitching and that kind of self-talk. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to turn it around. So there you have it.
And there's a lot of discussion in the chat around Jerome because my husband and I at one point were
Oh,
thinking about moving to Jerome, Arizona.
oh my,
And
oh
then
my God.
Gino said he has a friend named Jerome who's coming over to visit today. And Gordy was saying he lived in Jerome, Idaho as a
Oh,
child. So
wow.
maybe Jerome is the word of the day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then my 2 cents would be that, my mother, who I refer to as Donnell, she is just decided to move into a long-term care facility, and it's in the town of Jerome.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. What does it mean?
If
Oh,
you
it's
could
a-
know what it means, what would it
Yeah. I don't have to think about that, Gino. Mary?
Oh, I was just going to ask you, Julie, have you given any thought to why you've been so reluctant to take that path?
Well, yeah, because I don't like driving curvy. I mean, it's curvy,
Okay.
and I get anxious and I nervous.
So it wasn't
And
it's this cute little town of Jerome. It was
what now?
it wasn't about Jerome. It was about the experience of
Oh,
driving.
oh yeah, it's the drive. No, I love Jerome. Are you kidding? If it
Okay.
wasn't such a windy way to get there, I would go there more often or when people come, but it's frightening to me. But so in a way, this was like, okay, you need to do this so that you know you can do this if you ever want to do it again, which, I don't think I will, but for whatever reason, if I ever had to do it, it was like someone, the universe made me do it, because I was so intent on making sure that I had a different route.
Mm-hmm.
And I had that one. And at the bottom of it, I wasn't going to start to figure out how to get where I needed to go because I can't do that. I have an appointment, So I just said, okay, you're going. Here we go. It's almost like going up in a roller coaster,
Yeah.
and then once I started going down, I went through the town and looked, I go, oh, I wish I could stop here and walk around.
Yeah.
And then it was a downhill. And then I knew that, I felt more at ease at that point, knowing I was going down because it was also windy, but not as bad. So
So what I want to know is, did that experience make you feel a little more acclimated to driving in curves, or you still have your same idea about they're just not good to do?
I don't like it. But what it did for me is say, see, you could do that, And I also have a thing with car washes. And I had to ask myself, why are you so resistant to taking your car to the car wash? And I decided it was because I'm afraid I'm not going to do it right. That's why. And something, you're going to do something wrong. And what's going to happen? Something with my car? I don't know. So that's my next thing I'm going to do, that I'm going to take my car to the car because my car gets filthy for a year because I won't take it to the car wash.
Just remember that positive self-talk.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm waiting for it to get dirty, and then I'm taking it.
Yeah, self-talk is another kind of communication.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, thank you all for joining us today.
Ooh, we went
And
over. God.
yeah. See you
We
next
started a
time
little
for
later.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
working
everyone.
together.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Love you all.
Bye,
Bye,
Nate. Bye,
thanks.
Cecilia. Bye,
Thank you.
Gordy.